recognize that. The issue of the water tank and the 12-inch line just wasn't able to timing and was not able to come forward. But we have extended the line further down. I think as time goes on, that water line should be extended, and as was mentioned in previous meetings, now that we have Mr. Terry here, who probably heard these capital updates numerous times because we gave them, the plan for water improvement for downtown and around is a much bigger plan. So this very first part of it is kind of like phase one, like the Kriegel Street relinings, which is, I think we've done 4 phases of those. So at some point, as we have the revenues and funds are available, a lot more of the distribution network is going to be improved. It's just at this point, I think we've gone as far as we can go with the budget that we have and the funds that are available. I think it's a fair statement. I know Mr. Terry and Hydrostructures of this board applied for USDA funds, which we were never able to get, and I know that we did an application that was about 2 feet thick. I mean, at the end, just couldn't get it. Had we gotten that, revenue generator for it has in fact been generating plenty of revenue to this board. That's evidenced by the chair's appearance before this board numerous times to bring checks that we had not been getting historically. So I just want to put that on the record because that was part of the original discussion, that we wanted to see that revenue cover the expense. And initially we were paying a lot more, and we've negotiated it down to that $12,000 figure, which I think is very reasonable for what the town is getting, which is access to public transportation. And with all due respect to my esteemed colleague, Commissioner Farrell, part of the reason that people may not want to ride the bus is that it's been jerked around too many times, so when people plan for it, they're not sure if they should get a pass. And so the county pulled out of it a couple years ago, and the stopgap was this town. There are people that live in Powell Place that ride that bus and move to this town because we had transit. So if we eliminate it, we'll do it on the basis of a good rational reason, but no.
I don't believe that. I have to argue with that because I met someone this week people that got off that bus, and it was 7 people that got off that bus several times. I followed that bus in the Lowe's parking lot. And they can rig the numbers or whatever, but we're wasting $12,000 on that bus that we could be using in this budget. Yes. Well, if we need it down the road when Shadow Park comes in, that's fine. Then we can bring the bus system back in.
You're not going to bring the bus system back in the future. Once you cut it off.
Oh, yeah. No, yes.
All right.
You can bring anything back you want.
I tend to disagree. This town made a decision that did not run water to 3M, and Sanford did back in the end of the 1990s. Are we running water to 3M?
Reuse?
We're running reuse, and we're making a lot less money on it, as pointed out by Commissioner Cotton. So no, when you start down a pathway and then you pull out of it and you expect people to reinvest with you, you're not going to reinvest with you. So
you still got to do what's right at the time. At this time.
Well, that's just my feeling. We'll get to that point when we get to it. I just want to point out that the ABC revenues are actually covering it, which is what the previous boards stipulated.
What would we do if the ABC revenue was not covered? Take it out of our other contracted funds?
We'll make a decision on that. That was one of the stipulated factors. Okay, Mr. Reese, but we can go on.
Hillsborough Street Water Main Transmission Line Replacement Project. There's a meeting tomorrow at the Hydrostructure's office in order to work out with DOT to begin the global fill work in the traffic circle. The thinking is that the global fill work in the traffic circle can take place this weekend, but there has to be a plan in order to do that and approve it by DOT. I can report back to you on that before the work actually goes. Improvements on 15501 at the intersection of Springdale Drive. The intersection has been completed. I believe they were doing some final work as far as restoration on the embankments. There'll be a final coat of asphalt and pavement markings when DOT goes through and resurfaces Hillsborough Street this summer. The chain is actually removed at Fox Chapel Lane in Springdale. We've had the police going through there.
seeing anywhere from 150 up to 600 gallons per minute increase. So it's been pretty impressive so far.
All up and down the line?
Well, we've only got to Pittsboro primary, so we'll be coming through town starting tomorrow. And we hadn't got all the hydrants down on Main Street. We followed the flow that we was given years ago, but everything we've seen so far has really been good.
That's very good news.
Yeah. We're really interested in seeing on this side of town, but the west side of town's been pretty impressive.
So, good news there. The wastewater treatment plant generator replacement project, we're waiting for the go-ahead from the rural center to let that project for bid. As you'll recall, one of our last meetings, one of our previous meetings, we went ahead and authorized signature on the contract amendment to secure that remaining grant funding, unused grant funding. So we're looking forward to getting that thing moving forward. And then finally, a couple quick items. I attended the Research Triangle Regional Partnership State of the Region Director in Durham. Sitting at the table next to, not at, but next to the yeah, right. They find me anywhere I go. So I'll be heading over there tomorrow and doing a little bit of work with that. But it's my program obviously is here. So, and with that, I'll tap out.
Commissioners' concerns? Commissioner Farrell?
The only really concern I have is the media that we've been receiving from our mayor in 3 different instances. I hope that I don't really know how to handle this. I would like to get some input from the board. I think our mayor has embarrassed the town of Pittsboro with these incidents that's been in the media. I'm not pleased with it. I think a lot of the citizens in Pittsboro are not pleased with it. I know you're the chairman of the Democratic Party, and you've been all over the news, but it all comes back to Pittsboro. I'm speaking for myself because I do not seem to get any help or any comment from the other board members. But if we need to go to closed session or whatever, I think we need to discuss this. That's the only concern I got, and I think several people likewise have the same.
Okay, Commissioner Foley?
Don't have anything at this time.
Commissioner Dioka?
I share Commissioner Farrell's concerns. The most recent publication was not favorable. I'm sure you're not happy with it. But it does not shine a positive light
considering that this town has benefited greatly over the last decade or longer from the rural center, it should join other municipalities in asking the General Assembly to consider sparing the rural center from either defunding or cuts, because this town has benefited greatly from this partnership with the rural center.
I can support that letter.
And that all the board members should sign and send it forthwith, because if they were to cut it or defund it or eliminate it, towns like Pittsboro would not stand a chance of fixing their water and sewer systems, or at least be put behind the 8 ball. And Mr. Terry was a manager and partner with them, and remarked they were one of the better organizations he worked with. So, Mr. Brucebeck, I don't think we need to vote on it, so I think we could prepare a letter that the board signs.
A letter or resolution?
If it's a letter, we can all sign it. The resolution, we'd have to draft it and vote on it now, but if it's just a letter of support, we can all sign it and send it in immediately to our elected representatives, Senator Kennard and Representative McManus, and distribute it before they were to potentially be axed, or at least severely defunded. Any other concerns?
I have one more, and it's regarding the street, Pittsboro Road, or Pittsboro Street, and the patches. When do DOT anticipate trying to repave that? Because I'm getting numerous complaints, as I'm sure everyone else.
Yeah, they're looking to let that contract in mid-July, and the earliest that they would probably begin repaving would be sometime in August. The money will not actually be, their money to provide the final resurfacing will not actually be released until mid-July. And so that's the earliest that they would be able to let the contract. And that's the latest conversations that we've had, and we can follow up with this tomorrow. This is also what we discussed at a couple of previous meetings. I mean, that timeline hasn't changed for the last couple of weeks.
It's just frustrating because we timed the water main project so that it could be paid right after.
We'll be meeting with them tomorrow, and we can hit that one out by then and see if there's any change on that knowledge.
Thank you.
Okay, so what is the vote of the board?
Mayor, can I say something to you,
Yes.
what you said about the 3M company in the water, Pittsburgh, Lee County?
Yes.
Mind for me off a little something? You know, this
You
town...
turn the microphone, Chuck.
Okay. First of all, if it wasn't for the town, we the ones that got to get them county water systems started. You know, that's how they got 25% of the water plant. And we used to serve Bonham, about 60-some houses, and had an industry out there, and they needed that to get their system started because they wanted to serve Governor's Club. So we left them in. Once they got started going, then they decided they were going to have their own little plant down here and everything to cut us off. We got a grant of $350,000 that we, from the Commerce Department, that we ran around the Goldston Road, come back around and tie it into the poultry plant. And also serve Potterstone. And we met with Kent. It was Rick Givens, Margaret Potter, and John Holmes. And on our side was myself, Hugh Montgomery was your manager, and Commissioner,
Was it Brian or Travis or?
no, Mr. Tragerson was there. He was representing the Economic Development Commission. Mr. Who's in the
Cotton.
Yeah, he was there. They didn't want, we offered them to tie into that line, to run it out there, to run it, Old Sanford Road, because they looked like they were dying for water. They still are, I think. And to tie all that that in and run it into 3M, and if they wanted to tie in and keep it as their system, that was fine. If they didn't, we'd be glad to take it. And they refused. They preferred to pay $4.10 a thousand versus $1.83 a thousand, and that's what they turned down. The town asked them and tried to work with them, and they did not accept it. So I want to make sure you that it's straight, that y'all know that it was not the town that didn't get green water, it was the county. They preferred to run out of the county. Okay.
Okay. If you want to go into closed session, we need to make a motion to do so.
I'd like to make a motion to move to closed session.
I would suggest that you make it pursuant to GS 143-318-1183 to talk to me.
To talk to who, you?
Yes, as an attorney.
Okay. So be as what, our attorney, Mr. Messick, proceeded to say.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.